want to check one thing here. We're going to get started in just a minute here. Just want to make sure this is running. Hopefully my audio is running. All right. Welcome to the video. I appreciate you being here. What I wanted to do is I wanted to go through a scenario about what I think happened. So this is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a cybersecurity expert. I am not an election security expert. I'm not an election worker. I have a very basic understanding of how elections work. So take this information how you will. My background, I have over 15 years of experience working on large software systems for medium to large size organizations. And what I do is I work on large systems and I have to learn what they do, and then I become a subject matter expert, and then I help end users with any issues they have. I work with the vendor to do break fixes. I go through upgrades on computer systems, so it's IT work generally. But in the 2024 election, obviously something happened. And there are scenarios floating around on the internet, and this one is mine. So what I wanted to do is I want to find out how they did it. And I don't know how they did it. All I have are bits and pieces of different information, and I've been gathering it and processing it, and I wanted to write down, if I was Elon Musk, what would I do? Because I believe he is behind this, and let's just say that I'm Elon Musk and I'm going to put together a plan of how to hack the election. All right? So my thoughts kept coming back to the $1 million sweepstakes, because that's a very weird thing to do. And on the surface, it appears that he held a sweepstakes to get people excited to vote. That's what it appeared in the beginning. And that's what I thought it was at first. But now that the beauty contest has come and gone, something about the sweepstakes just keeps coming back. So 1 million people signed up for the sweepstakes. So they had 1 million registered voters sign up for the sweepstakes, and the sweepstakes was only for people in the 7 special areas. Okay? So there were 43 special areas that if you live in those like I do, you could not participate. They wanted people specifically in those 7 areas. All right? So if someone wanted to participate in the sweepstakes and they had not yet registered for the beauty contest, they could do that on the day of. So they come to sign up for it. They weren't registered, So they register so they could participate in the sweepstakes. So what I think happened was that I think Elon was building databases, one for each swing state. And I think it could also act as a second e-poll book. And an e-poll book is essentially a database of voters that have registered, and when you show up to a precinct, then it will say, hey, has this person voted anywhere else in the beauty contest? And it will say, no, they haven't. Or it'll say, yeah, they were just on the other side of town. They already participated, so they can't participate here at this precinct. So e-poll books, what I've been told is that e-poll books are not online, so they're not connected to the internet. But voter registration databases are connected to the internet. So just something to keep in mind. So what I did was I just used Excel, and I started building what I think would be Elon's e-poll book for Pennsylvania. So he started gathering a list of voters, names and addresses, and he started populating a database. So what he did was he started gathering names and addresses, and so what I did was I marked whether the person was part of the sweepstakes or not. So in this, I know it's a little hard to see, but I just put yes next to the names of the voters that were participating in the sweepstakes. So not very many out of the whole list, just a few. Okay, so next is, are they registered to vote or not? So some people were not, and then as they're registered, it's noted in the database whether they are registered or not. And there may be examples of people that were not registered, that somehow they were part of this, but I think for the most part, I think that they were able to do this with limited people registered. Like, for example, there are some registered voters that could register to vote and they just don't want to. So they just don't participate at all. So they might be in the database. I don't have it listed here in this example, but I think they collect the information of all possible voters, and then they would mark who was not registered to vote. I just don't have that showing here. So I just want to go and show each part of this. So during the sweepstakes, they did not ask, who are you voting for? There were a lot of Trump supporters that participated in this event. I think because Democrats felt weird about it and they just didn't want to be, because it was Elon Musk. So I think there wasn't a lot of Democrats, but I think they didn't stop the Democrats from entering their information. So in the database, they marked if they were a Republican, a Democrat, or non-affiliated. So I put NA next to the ones that are not affiliated. So then the next part was, so this next part is something that I I believe happen, but I don't have evidence that this happened. So this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't know that this happened, but if I was running this whole thing, this is something I would do. So this is what I'm doing. So I feel like they would have, being that this is a e-poll book, I feel like they would somehow be able to tell if a person had voted or not. So that's this column, have they voted? And then some of them are marked yes, some are marked no. How did they do that? How did they find out? Well, if they got access to the real e-poll book, it would say who has voted and who hasn't voted. So that is that column. And I said down here, they may have been able to see if the person had voted on election night. And I don't know that for sure, but in order to get this to work, that's what they would need. So the next column is if they have not voted, I marked it in green. So I'll explain that in a minute. The next one was, did they vote for Trump? So just to show how this would work, that column explains if they voted for Trump, and I'll explain this as it goes. I just want you to understand each column because it's kind of a lot to look at when you first look at it. The next one is just notes for myself, and I can explain each one as I go through. So let me move this out of the way. Okay. So let's go through, now that we talked about the different columns, let's go through how would this work. So they got the names of the voters. They know whether they participated in the sweepstakes or not. They know if they are registered or not. They would know which party they're registered to, not necessarily the party they're voting for, but who they're registered to. And then they would build a system that could track if they voted or not. So what I think happened is that on election day, they would have this database pretty much built, but they could still add people on election day as they registered to vote. So there might be someone that isn't even in here, and then they come in, they register to vote, and somehow they get added to this system. So then this starts to get filled out, and the polls close on election day. So I want to stop for a second there because there's some additional notes. The people were registering to vote on the day of the sweepstakes. So then this was updating the information in this system. I think they had one of these in each of the 7 swing states. So this one is for Pennsylvania. They had others, the other 6 for the other 6 swing states. So one of the questions is, was there low turnout for Trump? And the answer is yes. When you look at his rallies, there wasn't that many people at the rallies. And I think they had this system tested out and ready to go well before election day. I think they've been working on this for years. I really do. I think ever since, they could have started it after the last beauty contest in 2020. So there was low turnout, so they were going to use this system in order to basically push votes for Trump. For any of the people that would be registered or could vote for Donald Trump but didn't necessarily get out and actually cast their vote. So, um, so the not voted column is when the polls closed, no one else can vote, right? So on election night, if the polls close at 7 p.m. in Pennsylvania, let's say, the polls close, and then once it's closed, nobody else can cast their vote. But there's a period of time from when they physically close the doors until when they count the votes. So I think that something happened during that time, because when I was watching on election night, they were counting the votes, and then towards the end, there's what they call the red mirage, where in past elections, there's a large number of red votes that come in, and it appears that the Republican candidate is going to win, but it's only a red mirage. But I think they use that in order to pull off this sweepstakes hack that I'm calling it. So as they close the doors and nobody else can vote, I think there was a period of time that was very crucial for doing this part of the hack. So I think they built a database, and then I think Elon was tracking the data, because we already know that Elon had an app that showed him that Trump won 4 hours early based on the Joe Rogan show. So I think that he had an app that tracked this data. I really do. And was it connected to the Polymarket app? I don't know. I have no way to know that, but that's something else that people bring up a lot. I think that it may be possible that the guy that built the Polymarket app, they also helped with Elon's app, but I don't know that either. They might not have done that just because maybe Elon had his own team. I don't think Elon did this on his own. I think he had his own team of developers that are in on this. But I really think the DOJ should investigate the app that Elon has, and he may have gotten rid of it by now. I don't know. But, so let me continue to go through this. So we are at election day, election night, and the polls close. And what I think happened was that they could see whether a person voted or not. So if they did not vote on election day, then that's what these green squares are. And then, so this next column, so the first one has these two X's, and it does show that they have voted. So this first line would be a normal vote for Trump. Okay? The second line, when the polls closed, it showed that they had not voted. So then I think that they took this person who had not voted, and they were not registered on the sweepstakes, and I think there's a possibility that they somehow added her vote to the total. And I can't explain how they did that, because I don't have access to any of the systems. This is just based off of me gathering all the data about the sweepstakes, about e-poll books, about all the information with the beauty contest, and this is just one scenario that I think happened. So if you look down column J, the normal votes are the X's, and then you have these red squares that it's possible that these were added in order to get Donald Trump the numbers to go up. And there could also be a connection to the bullet ballots. And somehow somebody creating bullet ballots for these people that did not vote, and then getting those ballots into the system to be counted. And I don't know how they did it. This is just my scenario that I'm thinking through. So, I want to go down to this orange square because this one is very interesting. So, this person, Jeanne Fermier, I added her to kind of add another wrinkle into this whole scenario. So she is a registered voter, and I don't know if she registered or not, or at what point she registered, but she was not part of the sweepstakes. So I did not mark her as part of the sweepstakes. But she was marked as a non-affiliated voter. And before I go any further, the reason I bring up this very specific name is because if you go out to fox43.com, fox43.com, and you scroll down to where it says people are getting $100 checks from Elon Musk America PAC, even if they didn't sign the petition. So if you click on this news article,
today you go through drive-thrus, you get your groceries.
If you read this story, you are going to find the real Jeanne Fermier. She is the exact person in this story. She says she never signed the petition and never gave anyone permission to use her name. But she received a $100 check in the mail. Let me say that again. She did not sign up for the sweepstakes, but she got a $100 check in the mail from Elon's super PAC. So that adds a whole nother layers. And now you add in additional people that did not even sign up for this sweepstakes. So when they say 1 million people signed up, you also would need to add maybe an additional 1 million people that were part of the sweepstakes that did not sign up for the sweepstakes, because how else are they getting these $100 checks? And just a note on the checks, for Pennsylvania it's $100. For the other swing states, they are $47 checks. So if you want to read more, if you go to fox43.com, today is December 14th. The story's still up. I don't know how long the story's going to be there. I need to grab screenshots of this. Let me just do it really fast, because I feel like I'm going to grab a screenshot because these news, I'll do the rest after the video, but I feel like these news sites, they only keep stories up for so long and then they delete them, so I need to grab screenshots. So if you look at these orange boxes, people talk about, Trump had a large number come in. That would be what these red boxes are on my diagram. The orange box could be a whole nother list of people that they somehow got non-affiliated voters to vote for Trump somehow. That's why these people would need to go and track who they voted for in the system. The problem with that is that I tried to do that and I was not able to do that. Let me explain. So I live in Iowa, and in the very beginning after Election Day, I contacted my Secretary of State's office and I asked them to see how my vote was recorded. And they basically told me for security reasons they couldn't do that. Which I was very unhappy about, because how do I know that my vote was recorded for Kamala Harris? Because that's who I voted for. And I would want to check with my state election officials that who I voted for was recorded in the official audit of the state that I voted in. So when I say like, oh, she should go and check that, I know that she can't check it. I wish there was a way that she could go and check it, but it's really hard and almost impossible for her to go and do that. So that's why if you have a system like this, I think Elon knows that. So he knows that he could do something like this, and he is counting on all these voters not doing that, because most people don't do that. Most people aren't going to take the time to go and check that their vote was recorded in the same way they voted. And I think that there's a lot of people that are losing confidence in American elections because of this. And I think it should be more transparent and a lot easier for people to see what's recorded. And if there's a problem, they should have a way to fix it. But I don't think there is a way to fix it. So, what else? I think that might be it. There's a lot of details with this, and if you guys want to leave me a comment, if I get enough feedback on it, I could make a follow-up video answering any questions people have. But this diagram came out of me ever since November 5th. I've been thinking about this. Over the last week, I continued to, between the sweepstakes, the e-poll book, the transmission of data, this stuff keeps coming up over and over, and this is part of the diagram of what keeps coming up in my mind, and there are a lot of concerns with this. So I wanted to share it with you guys. I'm going to wrap up this video, but thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment. If you're connected with me on social media, feel free to reach out to me, leave me comments. Really quick, let me pull up my Blue Sky account. On Blue Sky, my name is The Grumpy Dude And this is my profile picture. I have no intention of changing it. I like the grandpa from Up. And on TikTok, my TikTok name is Dark Blue 2024, just like my YouTube channel. So feel free to follow me. Feel free to send me messages. So I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video.